History isn't exactly kind to fads. Hindsight is 2020, but it's hard to know what is a fad and what's going to stick in the cultural zeitgeist. After all, hardly anyone plays with Cabbage Patch Kids anymore. But Legos are as popular as ever. Some people even claim the iPhone was a fad when it was first released. No, seriously, Google that on your iPhone. We've all been swept up in a fad, be it Pokemon in the 90s or mood rings in the 60s. No one is immune, especially the lucky ones of the 1970s. I'm Nostalgic Nick for Do You Remember, and today we're going to delve into some of the faddiest fads of the 1970s. While they may have been short-lived, they captured the imagination of the country for a short while. If you enjoy this countdown, please give us a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe to avoid missing future episodes. And today is the day to have a toast to the fads. Pet rocks. We all love our pets, whether they're dogs, cats, snakes, or even cockatoos. Pets are part of the family, and yet pets do involve a lot of work. But advertising exec Gary Dahl imagined something better. A new kind of pet, with no maintenance at all. Rocks. A pet rock wouldn't leave a stinky surprise in the kitchen, and would honestly provide the same level of companionship as a lizard. Dahl began selling his rocks in mid-1975, and they immediately exploded in popularity. Coming in a box complete with air holes and straw bedding, the pet rock had a 32-page instruction booklet for your new family member. The rock was already a master of the sit and stay commands, but the pet owner was instructed that it needed a bit of help to roll over. Although the fad hit rock bottom after about 6 months, Dahl still managed to sell over 4 million pets during peak rock fever. Dahl became a millionaire practically overnight. Rock on. Roller disco! The image of a person going to the discotheque on a Saturday night in the 70s is pretty far out. Add in some roller skates and boom! A moving masterpiece of the 1970s. Roller disco. While today we think of roller rinks as the realm of a children's birthday party, by the late 70s many disco dancers had traded in their platforms for wheels, and were boogieing down to the incessant hum of the Bee Gees as they glided across the rink. Roller discos were the coolest place to be on a weekend night. The fad became so inescapable that it was a major plot point in not one, but 2 massive movies. Roller Boogie starring Linda Blair, and Xanadu starring Olivia Newton-John. But the 80s brought the death of disco, and with it the slow demise of the roller rink. Today, rinks are the purview of kids. A moldy stench and decades-old shag carpeting are a sad reminder of their former glory. Waterbeds. In 1968, designer Charles Hall thought that furniture focused too much on style and not enough on comfort. So he set out to fix the problem, and in 1971 filed a patent for the world's first waterbed. Initially marketed as a perfectly form-fitting, pressure-alleviating way to spend your nights, waterbeds didn't really hit their stride until they began being marketed for their supposed sexual benefits. And by 1985, 1 out of every 5 beds sold in the US was filled with liquid. Hugh Hefner even outfitted the Playboy Mansion with a massive waterbed covered in Tasmanian possum fur. But by the end of the decade, the dream was over, and waterbeds, with their massive electrical bill, penchant for leaking, and association with sleazy 70s sexiness, quickly sunk to the bottom. Still a better idea than a firebed though. CB radios. Got your ears on? If you were a trucker in the age before cell phones, how did you communicate with your fellow long haulers about speed traps or the lowest price of gas on I-95? Truckers used CB or Citizens Band radio. But in the 70s, this soon caught on with households across America. CB radio allowed two-way conversations over a distance of up to 20 miles, with both people using unique call signs to identify themselves. These were basically the first usernames. And we gotta know, what was your CB handle? Share it in the comments below. The novelty of being able to communicate with strangers anonymously was something completely new. Movies such as Convoy and popular songs like One Piece at a Time by Johnny Cash made CB radio inescapable.
Yeah, Red Ryder. This is the Cottonmouth and the Psycho Billy Cadillac.
First Lady Betty Ford was even known to make broadcasts with the handle Mama Bear. But all things must end, and eventually cell phones killed CB as a practical communication device. 10-4, I appreciate it. Streaking! While the urge to strip down to your birthday suit and sprint through a crowd of people is as old as time, the term streaking didn't originate until 1973. That year, a mass nude run of more than 500 participants was staged at the University of Maryland, and as the students exited their dorm, a reporter exclaimed, quote, "They are streaking past me right now, it's an incredible sight," and the term went nationwide. Streaking became the thing to do in the 70s, with thousands of recorded instances in 1974 alone, but the most famous of which was Robert Opel and happened on live TV at the Oscars. Check out our video of the craziest live TV moments of the 70s to see how David Niven handled the bare butt situation. Streaking became so ever-present that the song The Streak reached #1 on the Billboard charts.
Oh yes, they call him the streak. Fastest thing on 2 feet.
While I'm sure that streaking will be a thing till the end of time, hopefully it never again reaches the levels that it did in the 70s. Leisure suits. What would make the coolest man on TV, Mad Men's Don Draper, even cooler? Take his perfectly classy, tailored suit and turn it pastel green. Oh, and widen the collar. And make it out of polyester so it's both uncomfortable and eye-catchingly bad. You know, put him in a leisure suit, the hippest thing around. Just ask Don Knotts. Leisure suits didn't come to dominate fashion until the mid-70s, when the sudden availability of cheap synthetic fabric drastically reduced the price of formal wear. Suddenly, suits weren't only for Wall Street. The average working man could throw on his boldest orange getup and strut all the way to the club, confident in the fact that he was dressed to kill. Fortunately for people of sense everywhere, by the 1980s, leisure suits had fallen off their pedestal and now remain solely as a symbol of 70s kitsch.
What's the point of wearing a leisure suit if you can't be leisurely?
Macrame. Macrame is an ancient form of textile that uses knotting techniques rather than weaving or knitting. Why a bygone technique for making fabric that had been out of fashion for decades suddenly became the hottest trend in the 70s is without explanation. But people are weird and like soothing activities. Almost overnight, everyone was trying square or granny knots, and macrame was ubiquitous. Wall hangings, drapes, plant hangers, jean shorts, necklaces, bracelets. The stuff was literally everywhere. And then, all of a sudden, it was gone. Or so we thought. Very recently, the trend has been gaining popularity among young people, proving the adage that people who don't know history are doomed to repeat it. And there they are, certainly some of the most interesting fads of the 70s. How many of you are guilty of having participated in these fads? Are there any of these fads that you still enjoy? Probably not roller disco, but what about macrame? Who's watching this video from the comfort of their waterbed? Let us know in the comments below. We read them all. And if you enjoyed our 70s reminisce, please hit the thumbs up button for us, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. That way you never miss one of our videos. You don't want us to become merely a fad. From all of us here at Do You Remember, thanks so much for watching.